Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Agree to Disagree. I am your host for today, Crafty Keela. Today we have a debate between Conspiracy Cats and the Plain Truth. If anyone have seen the MC Toon debate, we are carrying that on. It'll be a little bit different, obviously, me as moderator. So at the moment, what we're going to have is 8-minute introductions. Then we will have each one will get 3 minutes each. They will get a signal 30 seconds before the end to basically shut their mics off. And then obviously we'll bring the questions and comments from the chat and the community post, and then we will sum up. So to welcome everybody, Conspiracy Cats, how are you today?
I am very well. I'm well now. Like, without Creaky in the driving seat doing all the technology, I kind of flap a little bit. So I know how wrong I've had everything before we do this. Can people in the chat even hear me? Because I have no idea what I've done when I've been setting this stream up. Am I even audible?
They can hear us. They can hear us.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, other than that, I'm all right. Looking forward to hearing the evidence that we didn't manage to get around to in the first debate. So, yeah, very much looking forward to it.
And Travis, the Plain Truth, how are you today? You looking forward?
I'm doing well, thanks. Good to meet you.
And you. And we have Creaky Blinder in the chat saying, I can't hear you at all. Agree to disagree. Is Creaky just ripping the piss or what?
The piss.
Yeah, it's an Irish saying.
I think he might be. Creaky saying before I did, like, just while I was in the chat, I want to big up his skills. I don't know if anyone saw the original thumbnail that I put up for this video. And I was quite pleased with it. I was sat there, I thought, that's pretty good. And then Creaky just sent me one. He went, oh, you might just want to use this thumbnail instead, which is the thumbnail we've got to. And when I compared the one I did to the one Creaky did, mine looked like it had been drawn by a 2-year-old child with his toes. You know what I mean? It was horrendous. So yeah. So if you did manage to catch my original thumbnail for this, then you'll see how much of a better job Creaky's done.
Yeah, Creaky is fantastic, and it's great to see him in the chat. Kind of wish he was here. I love Creaky. He's mad. So yeah, we're going to start with Conspiracy Cats. He's going to have 8 minutes, and the Plain Truth, you will be muted, and vice versa. When we come to your turn, Cats will be muted, and yes, I have the power of the mute, and I will use it if I need to. Hopefully it won't get to that stage. We are not about dumpster fires here. There's plenty of other channels where you can go to get a good dumpster fire. We are here to have a respectful debate. And as I said to you before we went live, Travis, the whole point is that you get to give your point of view, Cats gets to give his point of view, and then the chat can make up their own mind. So with that in mind, I'm going to start the debate. And Cats, you are going to have 8 minutes. So start when you're ready.
Yeah, we'll do. Let's see if I can operate this correctly. So, there we go. Normally when I do a flat earth debate, I'll start off saying something like, the idea that the earth could be flat is totally ridiculous for a million possible reasons. First of all, the idea that the earth is flat can't explain any of these things we see on the screen whatsoever. There's no explanation for sunrises, sunsets, seasons, celestial poles, retrograde motion of planets, why we get daytime and nighttime, even just the very, very basic things. None of the things on the screen, I'm not going to read them all out to you because you can see yourself, none of them have any explanation whatsoever that is based in any kind of science. And that includes why boats disappear bottom up as you go over the ocean. None of them have any basis in science when we start looking at them from a flat earth perspective. And anybody that does try and pick up like one argument maybe for seasons, or one argument for eclipses, or one argument for sunsets, what they'll find is that they totally contradict any other argument whatsoever. So we might hear some things today, about boats going over the ocean and mirages, etc. But they will contradict literally, or the explanation for that, if we get one, will literally contradict everything else that we see on the screen right now. So I normally like to poke a few holes in the flat earth model, but I know today that Travis really wants to focus on refraction. And in the last debate we said that when I'm at school, and I'm teaching it, we look at refraction, we can predict the angle of refraction if we know the refractive index of, let's say, not necessarily liquid, but a glass block we're passing something through. We can see refraction, we can predict it, we can model it, we totally understand it. We can look at our temperature, even a simple experiment like this. You know, focusing a laser onto a piece of graph paper and then putting a heater next to it and then seeing how the temperature affects the density of the air and then the laser starts to move. You know, we understand refraction very, very well. The scientific community understands it amazingly. They use refraction in interferometers to make all sorts of really, really important measurements. Here's just a handful of scientific papers. There's one here, you know, real-time measuring how the refractive index of the air around a candle changes. And I'm just scrolling through on the screen now, scientific paper after scientific paper after scientific paper that all show the scientific community understand refraction and mirages really well. Okay, but the argument that we're going to talk about today is this ether band. This ether band that in the last debate we didn't get any evidence for. In fact, it is a fact that in the last debate, the Plane Truth said that he has no explanation of how it works. He has no scientific evidence for how it works. There is no peer-reviewed scientific experiment for how it works. So I'm interested to see what he has got today, because in the last debate we didn't get to any of that. But what he did do in the last debate, and I'll maybe come back to some of those pictures later on, is he showed us lots of pictures of mirages, right? Now I've got lots of pictures of mirages here. That's clearly a mirage. We can see where my mouse is hovering, all right? We can see that this is a clear mirage, clearly refractions at play. We can see that this is clearly a mirage. Or we can see that this is clearly caused by a mirage.
Can I just interrupt you there? Sorry,
Yep.
People can't see what you're presenting.
People can't see what I'm presenting.
Well, in the chat here.
Ooh. Oh, heck, because it's on my OBS.
It is on your OBS, but we can't see it in the Zoom.
Oh, in the Zoom. Oh, sorry. Right, so the chat card. I don't know how to fix that. I'm sorry. I have no idea how to fix that. That might have to be a watch page thing. Unless Creaky's got a quick fix for that. I have no idea how to change that other than watch it in the watch page.
So do you have your Zoom page open?
Well, I sent you the PowerPoint slide, remember?
Yeah, I know, but if I understand
I can
that.
give you the slide number I'm on. Do you want me to do that? Give you the slide number I'm on and you can follow.
Yeah, could you do that?
Okay, I'll knock that off for a second. Can we just pause the clock for a second? Is that okay? So, Travis, at the minute, if you get my PowerPoint open, I'm now showing between slide 18 and I'll tell you when I get to the important ones, but the selection of mirages from slide 18 onwards, I'm just showing those. Okay. So, right, let's go back to that. But if you get the watch page open on your phone or something like that, you should be able to see. Right. So, where was I? So we know what a mirage looks like. Okay, we know that this here, right, and this here, and this here, right, looks absolutely nothing like this here. It looks absolutely nothing like a clean, clear, crisp, defined horizon that is cutting a boat off from the bottom up. In fact, it's massively disingenuous to claim that what we are seeing on the screen right now, which for you, Travis, is slide number, oh my word, 26. Okay, so slide number 26 is nothing like these mirages that we've got on the screen. So before we organised this debate, Travis did say to me that he was going to cite me some academic sources that he was going to use in the debate. I thought he'd want me to present them today, but I think he's got his own. But I did get those sources ready, and I've read these sources. And what the sources are that Travis has sent me are websites explaining how a mirage forms, which is all the things that we know, and I don't think I need to go through how a mirage forms. Okay, all the scientific explanations of what a mirage is. But I've looked at all of these web pages that Travis has sent me, all 8 of them, and not a single one of them, not a single one suggests in any way, shape or form that let's get this back up, that a mirage, right, can cause anything that looks like this, or indeed, oh, where is it? Where was it? Look at all these slides I've got. Or indeed, oh, there we go. Or indeed this, all right? So nothing I've been sent in any way, shape or form explains how boats disappearing over the horizon from the bottom up can be explained by a mirage at all. We understand what mirages are. We understand what mirages look like. They look like this. And claiming anything else is just fairy tale land, I'm afraid. I'm pretty sure I'm nearly up to my 8 minutes. How long have I got left, Crafty?
You still have a minute left.
So we're going to talk about this. I'm not really sure what evidence Travis is going to present. I think we're going to see pictures like we see on the screen where there's a little bit of atmospheric distortion. We're going to see some mirages. We're going to hear no explanation whatsoever of how those mirages cause things to disappear from the bottom up. We're just going to see a lot of pictures of mirages. That's what we're going to be seeing. So after we've seen those pictures of mirages and appreciated how good they are as pictures of mirages, we're then going to move on and we're going to look at other things outside of refraction and just show how ridiculous the whole flat earth idea actually is. But right now, I'll pass over to Travis because I can't wait to see what he's brought.
Well, thank you very much, Catz. Nice to see people not going over their time.
I'll go on mute.
Okay, so next up we have the Plane Truth. If you would like to start when you're ready.
Did you unmute me?
Yep, you're unmuted.
Okay, so just as a point of clarification for what Catz presented, even though he sent me the slides, I didn't know how to follow what he was doing, and so unfortunately, I just didn't see all the stuff. I heard what he was saying, obviously, but I wasn't able to match it up with visuals. So I'll just try to do the best I can in addressing. Let me just try to find where my. I thought, oh, there it is. Okay. All right, I apologize. Okay, so I will share my screen so that when I jump over to the image that I want, that will be ready to go. Okay? You see that?
We do.
Okay.
Does OBS see that?
OBS sees that.
Are you?
Yes, it
does.
does. Yes, it does. Yeah,
okay.
we're good.
Okay. All right. So let me get my mouse over here. All right. Are you ready to start my time? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, great. Thanks. All right. So I want to be clear about one thing. My claim is not that refraction is a thing. I know that refraction has been studied and documented for the past couple hundred years. I know that in the classroom, refraction can be discussed and even on a small scale, represented and studied. Okay, so I'm not disputing any of that. I also know that there are articles and studies and books over the past couple hundred years on refraction in the expressions of mirage or other generic refraction phenomena, but they do not address the obstruction caused by refraction. This is important to my claim because of these two things. One, mirage and other refraction phenomena create obstruction to observations over aquatic and terrestrial distances. And two, that obstruction caused by refraction is often interpreted to be curvature of the Earth. That is, there is the creation of a horizon, which is, in my claim, 100% due to refraction, either as mirage or other refraction phenomena, okay? So my claim is not that refraction is a thing. My claim is not that you can study refraction in a book and in a classroom. My claim is that the obstruction that is caused by refraction is an alternative explanation to the interpretation that boats have gone beyond the curvature of the earth, allegedly because they are apparently disappearing from the bottom up. Now, the closest thing to addressing this issue is found here in this article that I actually did cite in the first debate. And I'm just going to read the entire article right here. It's not very long. And while I disagree with the interpretation of ray tracing or even the ray graph that's in here, the ray diagram, I'm just reading this for context, okay? The mirage, called an inferior mirage because the image is below the real object, is produced by a layer of abnormally warm air heated by the sea beneath cooler layers. Light passing at low angles across the layers are refracted so that the rays coming from the tops of the buildings, because now it's referring to this image that's right here, okay? So the tops of the buildings, light rays passing from the top of the building appear to be coming upward from the horizon. Our brain interprets that as reflection from the water. So right here, if we look at this image, you can see water, water, water. The water ends. Why does the water end? Why do we have a limit to the water here? And then what the article is saying is that right above this, we have a reflection. So our brain interprets that as reflecting off the water. Now, if that's the case, then that means that there is more water above this here that's not visible. But there's more. The horizon is missing. The base of buildings are missing. Low-lying land cannot be seen either above or below the joining line of the real image and the mirage. This is what is called the vanishing line effect. The ray diagram at the right over here tries to show what is happening, but like all mirage ray diagrams, the vertical scale has to be grossly exaggerated. All possible rays between the eye and the distant tower are shown. 2 rays from the, I just realized I don't think I took myself on mute on my own show. Let me just, whatever. Okay. I thought, what if I'm not being heard? 2 rays from the top tower, A, reach the eye. The upper one is slightly curved downward toward the warmer air. The lower ray is sharply curved and appears to the eye coming from the tower reflected in the water. Rays from lower down, B, do the same. Position C is different. Only 1 ray reaches the eye. Rays from lower down the tower cannot reach the eye at all. That part of the tower is invisible. The level C is the level of the mirage. That's the vanishing line. The real view and inverted mirage join at the vanishing line, and the eye can see no details of the scene that are below it. In the more distant the object, the higher the vanishing line. Okay? How am I on time?
Sorry, I have myself muted. You still have 2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes? Okay, so let me go back to this and see what I was going to say. I also have an entry by A.T. Young describing an inferior mirage, discussing the transition zone, which is this image here. And this is going to be too much information to get at in the time allowed, but this is an image drawn back in the 1800s by a man, Wollaston. I think his name is Wollaston. And he is on a river. He looks upriver about a mile and he sees an inferior mirage. And one of the things that I want to point out that is an interesting distinction that he makes that I appreciated a lot in this is that there is a difference between what we consider a reflection off of the water and that which is an atmospheric refraction image, right? In the cases of reflection, the angles between the object and the image are sharp. That is, the reflection is on the water. We have sharper images, sharper lines. The line contact between them is straight and well-defined, but the lower part of the image is indefinite and confused by means of any slight undulation of the water. But when the images are caused by refraction, the confines of the object and its inverted image are rounded and indistinct. and the lower edge of the image is terminated by a straight line at the surface of the water. Okay. Now, I might just wait to see if this gets unpacked later on, but basically, if you see this oar, you have this oar on this barge and it comes down. And then right here at the angle of incidence, you have a curved line. That curved line is the result of the atmospheric refraction. And he's saying basically, if you had a reflection off the surface of the water here, there would be a much more sharp angle to it. And we can just continue to unpack that as we go on. Thanks.
Brilliant. Thank you. That was fantastic. A lot of information in there. So I'm going to mute. Both speakers are muted now. Just really quickly. So first of all, thank you all for coming again. Click that like button. There is members on this channel as well. So if you want to become a member and if you want to contribute, there's a Patreon and there's a membership. From here, we're going to give each speaker 3 minutes, and that's just to come back in on what the previous speaker has said. And we're going to do that continuously until such time we will have a back and forth. If we can remain civil, we will continue the back and forth, and then we will have the question section. So there is a community post up on the community section. Send all your questions, or you can tag me in the questions. All super chats will be read in and around the same time as the questions. So, okay, Conspiracy Catz, over to you for 3 minutes.
Right. Okay. So I'll just put that off for a second. Yeah, I've unmuted my microphone. You can hear me. I think I called that fairly accurately in my introduction. I said what we were going to see was pictures of mirages. We were going to appreciate the fact that mirages happen and see some lovely pictures, and then it would have absolutely nothing to do with...
I'm sorry, I just have a question real quick.
Okay. Crack on.
No. Okay, this is how this is going to work, as I explained. You do not unmute yourself. If you have a question, you put it in the side chat. You do not unmute yourself because it's disrespectful to your opponent. If you have a question, put it in the side chat or write it down on a piece of paper and come back in on it when it's your time. So I'm going to reset the time because Catz hadn't even really started. And write it down on a piece of paper and you can ask it when it's your turn, okay? Thank you very much. But please do not unmute yourself. If you unmute yourself, I have no problem ending this stream before it turns into a dumpster fire. We respect our audience too much. We respect you too much, and we respect Catz too much. We won't be doing that. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, so 3 minutes. Yeah, I think I called that pretty well. I think I said we were going to see some pictures of mirages, and we were going to understand that mirages exist, and that would have absolutely nothing to do with Earth curvature. So let's address the one thing Travis said that was correct. He said that refraction can cause some sort of obstruction. So this is my PowerPoint now, and what we can see here are the stones in the background on the beach, and we can see the refraction here, and that's stopping us seeing the sand. Right? This is the sort of obstruction that a mirage causes. Right? We can go to the next slide, and we can't see the road. This is the sort of obstruction that a mirage causes. Okay? We can't see the sea that this boat looks like it's flying on top of, right? Because of the refraction, because this is the type of obstruction that a mirage causes. Again, with this one, it looks like it's flying because this is the type of obstruction a mirage causes. I'll tell you what isn't the type of obstruction a mirage causes, and that's this, which looks totally different, okay? You can't look at that and think it's the same as that. You can't think the same thing is going on here as that unless you are willfully being ignorant, unless you are willfully just ignoring all sort of logic and common sense. You can't think that this here, right, is the same as that. And that is the argument we've got. I called it from the very beginning. We were going to see some pictures of mirages, and then we were going to make the massive jump that something like this was caused by a mirage. We've had no explanation as to how something like this on the screen can be caused. I can give you a scientific explanation for how this is caused by a mirage. No problem. We can talk about refraction, how the light bends. I can do that. I am looking forward to your scientific explanation of how this works. Because it sounds to me, I'm being honest, like you're taking advantage of the fact mirages exist and then you're just making up the fact that they somehow caused something like this. It's based in nothing. We need something other than you just saying, I think mirages caused that. Have you got some sort of explanation for how this works? Because if not, I don't even know what your argument is, I'll be honest. And I will pass you over to Travis now.
Thank you very much, Catz. And just in case Travis could not see what Catz was presenting, I know there's some issues here with Zoom. I recommend having a YouTube tab open if you can't see it from the meets. But what he was presenting is one image seen clear underneath the boat, which is mirage, and the other is the sea line over the hull of the boat. That's what he is asking you to clarify. So I'll mute Catz now, and I will give you your 3 minutes to respond to that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm frustrated right now because I was in the chat notifying you that I cannot see what he's presenting. You then responded to Catz and said, Catz, can you present your screen? He didn't see that. So I didn't see anything that he's presented. So I wasn't trying to be rude earlier. I just simply wanted to make sure that I could see. You shut me down. You muted me. You actually got a little bit curt with me and put me in my place. And still, in his 3 minutes, I saw nothing he presented. So I'm a little bit frustrated. So if he wants to have his 3 minutes back, I'm willing to give him another 3 minutes so I can see, because I've also put it in the side chat, what link? I said, can you send me a link? There's no link. You didn't give me a link to go watch this on YouTube. I shouldn't have to watch it on YouTube. I should just be able to watch it right here. I know how to share my screen. So I'm a little bit frustrated. You decide whether or not you want Catz to have his 3 minutes over again. I'm perfectly fine if he does it again. I just want to see what he's pointing at.
Which is why I kind of explained.
It doesn't do me any good because I heard him explain. I heard him describe what he was seeing. It's still that's still too abstract. I can't understand what you can describe. There's water at the bow of the ship and blah blah blah. I still don't see it. That doesn't do me any good.
Travis, you were sent this PowerPoint before we started.
Okay, I understand that.
Okay,
he's not.
Okay.
He didn't tell me which one he's referring to. Right?
Okay.
He didn't.
Catz, I'm going to unmute you now for a minute. Please calm down. Can you share your screen? I will give you back your 3 minutes and I will give the Plane Truth 5 minutes to respond to that.
Oh my God. I don't know. I'm on dual monitor. I genuinely, like, we don't share screen. I don't know how to share it on a dual monitor. I just don't know how.
It's very simple. It's very simple. So if you go down to the Zoom window, you should have a green button that says share screen. Okay.
Yes, but if the PowerPoint is on a separate screen, that's the problem.
It's going to give him a ton of options for him to see which window. He can either choose an individual window, which would be his PowerPoint. So if, let's just say, for instance, he had a dual monitor, but the only screens he had up was a YouTube screen and his PowerPoint screen. It's going to show him both, and he can choose which one he wants to share. So I'm saying that it shouldn't be a problem for him to see the PowerPoint option for him to share his screen. Okay.
Have you got my PowerPoint open though? Because I could just tell you the slide number.
I can, but again, you're in the. Let me see if I go through here.
Because I did say in the email exchange we can't screen share. I did mention that specifically in the email exchanges that we cannot screen share for this reason.
Okay. So I have it pulled open, but all I have is page numbers, right? So right now I'm looking at page 25.
Number. Yeah. If I just give you the slide number from now on, and then that'll help. So what I'll tell you is the slides I was talking about then. Basically, slide 18 to 21 are when I was talking about these are what mirages look like, and this is the obstruction caused by mirage. I was showing slides 18 to 21. And then, I think it's slide 22, I might have moved it on mine, but you've got two sailboats side to side, slide 22. And I was saying that is completely different. So that was the slide that was saying there's no explanation for how this obstruction caused by refraction can cause something like we see in slide 22 when it's so obviously different to all the others. But I'll put myself on mute now so you can crack on.
So are we happy with that?
Well, I mean, it's not as smooth and as consistent
It's
as it could have been, but
it's never going to be going smooth. In fairness, it's never going to go completely the way we want, unfortunately. So, Are you okay to continue on now?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
I'll start your 3 minutes whenever you're happy.
let me go back because I'm gonna have to share my screen.
Or if you want to watch page, you can go on. Oh, I'm muted.
Okay, you got it.
Yep.
All right. So just to go back up to the images that Catz presented here. Again, I think that if we listen to his response to my opening, and the last thing that he said was that he still doesn't know my claim. I think that that's evident. You still don't get it. You do not understand my claim. So in all actuality, you have no business in this debate right now, because my claim is very, very simple. Okay. So if we look at this very first image that you have here of this desert floor with these mountains in the background, right? It's a very simple concept. If we look from the bottom of this image here, we go and we see sand. We see sand, we see sand, we see sand, we see sand, all the way up until, oh, we don't see sand anymore. Why don't we see the sand anymore? Because there is a mirage. Everything behind this mirage is still physically there. Over here, you've got more contrast with these, I suppose, hills or whatever these are, rocks, or I don't even know. But you've got, between this hill and this hill, you've got the sky miraged. And then you have a thin layer here that is farther in the distance, okay? My understanding of this is, this image here in the very distant, at the horizon, that is the erect, that is the physical, that is the vertical image. Everything below it is an inferior mirage. If you could wipe away that mirage, you would see sand. Sand, no mirage, nothing to see here, folks, okay? Same thing here. Road, 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 road. You've got wisps of mirage going across the road, but you can still see the road. And then up here, no more road. Where did the road go? It's still there. This isn't difficult. The mirage hides things and creates a false horizon here, okay? This boat here, if we could wipe away the mirage, there would be water underneath that boat. Nothing to see here. We all know that boats float on water. There's nothing special about that. But in this instance here, we have what's referred to as just simply refraction phenomenon, because it's not got an inverted image. So it's not a mirage. That's Andrew Thomas Young, okay? Here, what's creating the limit to this water? What's creating the limit? Is that curvature? B-Ball for Life would say it is. What about here, all the way out there? You see that? What's creating that horizon? I'm going to tell you right now.
Go on, finish that sentence, please.
I'm going to tell you right now that based on the fact that you can see a mirage right here, that mirage shows you that everything following that lateral direction, right or left, is mirage as well. The horizon is created by mirage. Thank you.
Thanks very much, and thank you for stopping when I ask. Right, so Catz, you're going to have 3 minutes to respond, and I'll ask both speakers, as frustrated as you are, please remain respectful to each other. Thank you.
Right, okay. That was pretty cool. I think Travis basically agreed with everything I said. So let me just review what I said. I said that sometimes refraction can cause an obstruction, and I showed this picture here. And I said that we can't see the sand because of this here. I said that. I said that on this picture here we can't see the road because of the refraction. I said that. I said here that the boat wasn't actually flying. We just can't see the water because of refraction. I said that. I said the same thing here, that we can't see the boat because of refraction. It's not actually flying, it is on the water. I said that. Now, Travis agreed with all that, but the one thing he deliberately avoided was this, which was the question, all right? And the point is that this slide... Oh,
can you clarify which slide?
Yeah, it is slide number. It's the one with the 2 sailboats, and it's slide 22. So this is the one I want to focus on, Travis, slide 22. And that is this here. Okay, this slide here looks nothing like the others. This is a perfectly clear, clean, crisp horizon, not like the one that come before it or any of the 5 that come before it that I'm showing now. It doesn't look like slide 21 or slide 20 or slide 19 or slide 18. All right, I'm agreeing with you that this like refraction that appears to be mirroring the sky and the ground, right, is hiding the sand. I agree that the water's being hidden, all right, because mirages are real. We all know mirages are real. What I'm saying is that that is not what we're seeing here. Nobody can look at that, which is the 2 sailboats on slide 22, and say it looks anything like the others. So you did exactly what I said you were going to do, and I'm going to make a prediction you're going to do it again. I'm going to make a prediction that you're going to show me more mirages like these that I'm showing on the screen now, right, which are slide 18 to 21. You're going to show me more of those, but you're not going to make any effort whatsoever to explain how slide 22, a nice clear, clean, defined, crisp horizon, is caused by a mirage. Now, we'll see if the people in the chat can see if you will tackle that question. I'm fairly confident you're not going to tackle it, and you're going to talk more about obvious mirages like this. But my point, to be very clear to everyone in the chat that's listening, is I want to know how a mirage causes a picture like slide 22. Okay? That's my very clear question. Hopefully the people in the chat might, be listening for that very specific answer. And I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you. So perhaps, Travis, if you wouldn't mind just focusing particularly on that question for the 3 minutes that you have right now.
Am I unmuted?
Yep.
Okay, great. Thanks. Yeah, it was not intentional for me to skip over that or not address it at all. I've addressed this on my show, and I know that it's tedious to ask anybody to watch all of everybody's presentations. And let me get out of here. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so I have addressed this numerous times, and I'm going to try to clarify right now. The image that, let me go back here. The image that Catz is referring to right here, okay, is, and again, I'm looking at this for the first time because I was not focusing on this image before. So you got 2 feet above sea level, you got 6 feet above sea level, okay? All right, so one of the things that is the burden for people like Catz or people like B-Ball for Life, when they want to claim that this horizon here that we are seeing is the curvature, right? They have to be able to justify that, not with math, okay? Math is going to give you an equation, and then you're just going to hold the equation up to this image and say, see, they match. No, no, no. Sorry, I wouldn't even be happy with that on with me. You have to know where this horizon is. You have to know where this boat is and what its distance is to this horizon, okay? So going back here, this image here, I know that it's not as clear as you'd like to see. This image here is platform Gina, okay? Platform Gina. You can see similarities here. You have a rigging, a vertical rigging here. You have an angular rigging here. You come over here to this image. This is the same shot, or I mean the same reference point right here. Vertical, slanted, okay? You even have the middle part right here, middle part right here, okay? Now, in this image, you have half of Gina, and then you have an inverted inferior mirage. Now, over here, you don't. I mean, you actually do. It's right here. It took me a while to see that this was an inferior mirage, but what you have here is what is typically called sinking. Andrew Thomas Young calls this sinking. But for him, sinking happens behind the mirage. So for him, sinking would say that the image is being dropped below the horizon. What I've called proximate looming is the opposite of sinking. It's the same observation, but I'm saying the refractive phenomenon is happening in front of the horizon. The water is being raised up. It's an apparent position. And then there is also refraction happening beyond the horizon. I think I heard you tap the microphone.
Yeah, thank you. And that is time. So I will bring Catz back in to have his say on that. Catz, your 3 minutes will start whenever you start speaking.
I'm having a on my side. Something's gone wrong. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. Right, so I think I predicted that what would happen is this slide would be completely ignored. I pointed out the difference between all of these and how a mirage can perfectly explain these. And I said I was dying to see how a mirage could explain this. And I asked the chat to listen out in case I missed it, because maybe I would have missed what you said. But it seemed to me that what you said was nothing about a mirage with that photograph, nothing about a mirage as to why the boat seems to disappear from the bottom up. You said, I have to prove that's the horizon. Now, I really don't know where to start with that. So, you know, maybe you can clarify if that is your answer, because so far it seems to me that your answer to slide 22 is mirages make that happen because I need to prove it's the horizon. Now, that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So let's just go through this again, because this is where your argument falls down and will always fall down because your argument's wrong. In this slide here, the sand is being covered by refraction. In this slide here, and this is 18 to 22 again, right? The road is being covered by refraction. Slide 20, the water's being covered by refraction because these are all mirages. And in slide 21, water is being covered by a mirage. But in slide 22, where is the mirage? Maybe, I mean, I don't know, maybe I should rephrase the question again, but this is now the third time I brought it. I'm going to ask the chat to really focus on where the mirage is, because it does seem to me that last time you said, I have to prove that's the horizon, which is the biggest duck, dive, dodge, deflect answer I think I've ever heard in my entire life. The truth is, Travis, you know that slide completely defies everything you're saying, and you don't want to talk about it. But the bad news is, I'm going to keep talking about it until you can give me an explanation as to how a mirage causes that. So I'm predicting again that you might spend 10 seconds asking me to prove that's the horizon, and then you're going to show me another distorted image like these that show there's a mirage, okay? But that's not the question. The question is, can you specifically tell me how a mirage causes an effect like this slide here? And I'm going to keep an eye on the chat just to see if the chat interpret your answer in a slightly different way to mine, because I'm really interested. Maybe I misinterpreted it last time. Maybe you did answer it, but it sounded to me as if you just said, prove to me that's the horizon, which is obviously a deeply ridiculous thing to say. I'll pass it back to you.
I have to say, lads, you're doing very, very well on the timing. So I'm going to pass it back to the Plane Truth. Again, I'd ask both of you to be respectful of each other. And chat, please be respectful. This is always fun, but let's be respectful. So over to you, Travis.
Okay. Yeah, you weren't listening. I didn't say that you have to prove this is the horizon. That's not what I said. I said, if you believe this horizontal apparent horizon is caused by curvature, I said your burden is to prove the location, the distance, because your interpretation of this as being curvature of the earth is geometrical. I didn't say prove this is the horizon. No, I said you have to verify the distance to it. And then I also said you have to verify the distance from the ship to the horizon, because it all has to work out mathematically. Now, I did not say this was a mirage. I know that you said that, well, I don't remember exactly what you said, so I don't want to put words into your mouth. But I didn't say this is a mirage. What I will say that this is a refractive phenomenon. Okay, so when we're talking about mirages, there are classifications of mirages: inferior, superior, fata morgana, right? But there is also towering, stooping, what's one? Two others dropping out: sinking and towering, stooping, sinking, and something or other. Okay, those are refractive phenomena. They are called that because they're not mirages. So we do not have a mirage here. But what I am going to say, and what I will say, is that the horizon here is created by refraction, because you don't know the distance. This, and I have images that I can show. I might as well just do that right now. Okay. All right. So this image right here. Hold on. Let me try to make it a little bit bigger now. Okay. Over here on the left, this is earlier in the morning. Okay. This set of sails is a sailboat. It is moving laterally across. Okay. This mast right here that apparently goes all the way down to the water is and belongs to this catamaran right here. Now, I have not changed my position from the morning. I set up in the same spot. We cannot see the catamaran here. Cannot see the body of the catamaran. Now, I've also said in all of my observations that there is not just one phenomenon happening. There are multiple phenomena happening, okay? In this image, we do not see any of the catamaran. In this one, if I could zoom in, it's not letting me choose that to zoom in. We could see the catamaran hull. What's changed? We can't even see, you can see back behind here, you see this walkway, the promenade. You can't see that here, okay? There's refraction going on. Beyond the horizon, it's an inferior mirage. In front of it, it is proximate looming. Because we don't know where this limit of the water is, we can't say what the distance is. You can't say that that's Earth curve.
Okay, and that's time. Thank you very much. Catz, I will pass that back to you. Your 3 minutes will start when you begin speaking.
Right, cool. So let's bring this back up again. And just to review what we've said so far, we've said that refraction can cause obstruction, for example, like on slide 18 to the sand and to the road, and that it's very obviously caused by refraction, and it can make boats look like they fly, and it's all very obviously caused by refraction. Then I brought this up, and I asked you where the mirage was, and twice you just ignored the point and moved on. And then in the last time, the third time I asked you, you said, you didn't say it was a mirage, you said it's some sort of refractive phenomenon. So now we're getting somewhere. You then named about 5 or 6 refractive phenomenon or mirages, and then you didn't explain in any way, shape or form how they cause that. Just because you can name different types of mirages doesn't mean that this is caused, or different types of refractive phenomenon doesn't mean that this is caused by one of them. You showed literally zero ability to explain how refraction causes what we see here. All you've said is, prove to me it's Earth curve. Well, I tell you what, we can talk about Earth curve, and after we've had another round of this, we will go on to talk about Earth curve, and we'll come away from refraction. Believe me, we will. Okay? But your argument is that somehow refractive phenomena cause things, and all you've done is show me pictures like this, or this, or this, and it's the same 5 pictures I'm going over, Travis, where we can clearly see refraction, and then when you see anything like slide 22, you don't want to talk about it. You just say, oh, it's refractive phenomena, and you'll move on. You've got no explanation. I'm reading the chat. Everybody in the chat can see you've got literally no explanation for it whatsoever. The only thing you did try and do was show me that picture of a catamaran, which was also proof of curvature. Yeah, there was a little bit of refraction. You had different. You certainly had a different zoom setting, and I'm not so sure you were in the same location. I'll be honest, but there was certainly no evidence of refraction of a mirage forming at all whatsoever. So if your greatest rebuttal to this is to show me more evidence of Earth curvature, I think maybe you're a little bit confused. So I'm just going to ask one more time, just one more time. Can you explain a mechanism by which refraction causes this picture? Please don't state the name of a type of refraction. Can you explain a mechanism by which refraction causes this image? Right? Because that is your claim that the horizon is caused by refraction. Done.
Okay, grand. So hopefully, we will be finishing up on mirages very soon, and we will move on to Earth curvature. But I will throw that over to the Plane Truth if you want to address that particular issue.
Okay, so am I unmuted?
Yep.
All right. Again, in the hubbub of everything, I'm not trying to evade anything. I'm trying to address as best I can. Now, I thought that I had pulled up the page where Andrew Thomas Young has a description of sinking and looming, and I just can't get a hold of it right now. But it's not difficult to go to his page and look at the different explanations and diagrams that he gives for sinking and looming. So the mechanism, okay, again, I believe in the simplicity of science, right? I believe that it's very, very simple. So I'm going to go back to, did I close that out? Why do I not have my panel? I must have closed that window out for the, hold on real quick. Let me go, sorry. I'm going to pull up again that image of the catamaran, okay? So I have that ready. And then I'm going to try to get back to wherever the heck his, there we go. Okay, try to get my thoughts back here, okay? Mirages are the result of refraction. Okay, there is no visible mirage here. I'm not going to claim there is a mirage. However, I am going to claim that this is the result of what we would consider sinking. Okay, in this image here, lowering 2 feet, I would say that this is not strictly what you should expect to happen. So let's say, for instance, if I were Andrew Thomas Young, I would say, well, without refraction, let's imagine we live in a world where there is a vacuum and we can look through this vacuum. Okay, I would say that, okay, well, let's do that. This is not what we would see. We would see a modified version of this. Perhaps we would actually see just a little bit more of this boat. But then you add refraction and bloop, it sinks. That's refraction. That's a phenomenon. Okay, that's sinking. Now, I don't have all of this stuff memorized. I'm not going to be able to give you a textbook explanation of it, but the mechanism is the medium through which you are looking. It's the same medium through which you were looking when you see an inferior mirage, a superior mirage. I just happen to believe you can't science those things. Absolutely not. The reason why you can't science is because no one has gone out on into the band. Everybody is making these observations from the distance, and they're looking at something, and then they're using their words to describe it, and then they think they can do a mathematical representation of what's going on with this sail right here on this sailboat. Okay? So again, what's creating the limit of this water? I think Catz gave us the answer when he said, obviously, you just showed us the curvature. Oh, really? Because we're seeing farther here, Catz, and the water is lower down. And yeah, Catz, I'm in the same location. I said that. I didn't move. I set up in the same location. Nothing's changed but the ether band. Everybody drink.
Thank you very much for that, Travis. And again, if anyone wants to check out the Plane Truth, I'm sure one of the mods will drop that link into the side chat. Catz, if you want to agree to disagree and move on, that will be up to you. I will start your 3 minutes when you begin speaking.
Okay, I'll be quick on this. You say you're in the same position on that photograph and everything. But to be honest, it doesn't matter whether you are or not, but the builders in the background must have been really, really fast knocking down those buildings or putting them up again while you were taking those photographs. That might give you away a little bit. In terms of what we were talking about before, yeah, I think we've all heard it. There is no explanation. The original explanation of the horizon was that the horizon was caused by mirages, okay? And then when we show one that clearly has no other mirage, it's desperately clinging on to something else. Or can I talk about, or let's just invent this sinking thing and talk about that, because If it's not a mirage, it has to be sinking, and there's no middle ground. And I mean, I don't know, Travis. It sounds to me like you're really clutching at straws. And the thing I asked specifically for was a mechanism or an explanation to how those things work. You didn't have one. You've not got one. You're just saying it's so. We can dismiss everything you've said because you haven't said anything. You said, I believe it's refraction, but I can't explain it. I can't offer any evidence. I can't offer any proof. I'm just going to show you blurry photographs and then a photograph of a catamaran, and I'm just going to say that there's no curvature and there's refraction. You've explained zero. You did say to me that we can't mathematically kind of like measure refraction. Well, or, you know, here's a picture of real-time measurements of the refractive index of something this is off MC Toon's website, a cracking paper. Real-time measurements of the refractive index of Earth changing throughout the day. But because I haven't got a great deal of time, let's move away from that because we're not getting anywhere. All you're going to do is show me pictures and say you believe it's refraction. You've got no explanation. So let's pull you somewhere else. How long have I got left, Crafty?
You have 1 minute.
Okay, this is a picture of all the seismic stations that measure seismic waves across the
Can you
Earth.
give us the image number, please?
And that image number is, oh my word, where are we? Let's go down here. Starting on slide 40. Okay, so these are the places that seismic waves are measured. If we go to slide 44, those were all numbered on the previous one, and we can see the numbers here. All right, where the locations are those measurements were taken. And if the Earth was, let's say, this shape, and I'm not saying you claim the Earth is this shape, the propagation of waves from the epicenter of an earthquake, and this is all public data from the United States Geological Survey, the propagation of seismic waves from that point would look extremely odd. And if you change the shape of any of the Earth into any shapes, it will look extremely odd because we know, if you go to the next slide, that when a wave propagates from a point, it propagates out in this fashion. But when we modelled the data that we got from these seismic stations and we put it on a globe, we get exactly what we'd expect. So I just wonder what your thoughts are on seismic waves and why they do not prove a globe.
Yep, back to you, Plane Truth.
Okay. I actually have no interest in discussing seismic waves, particularly because that's not the area that I have been engaged in. Okay, so I would just be giving you stuff that's off the top of my head. So I'm not going to make anything up. I don't disagree with the display that you showed of the water droplet that shows how waves propagate from the source. That's not my question at all. So I am going to go back to this because your snarky attitude is quite evident. You said those builders must have knocked those buildings down. Not really sure what you're referring to because this building right here that's a little bit more crisp and defined is this building right here. Okay. Now, I am in the same position. Okay. I'm not lying to you or the audience. What we see here is the effects of refraction. This building, okay, is affected by refraction. It is blurry. It's not blurry because I can't focus. And I'm not taking a picture of an image that's blurry because I can't focus. This is refraction. In this one, it's a little more crisp and clear. You see the sail here on the catamaran? This sailboat an hour or so earlier has less defined, less crisp lines. Why? Not because I can't focus. Okay? This is an inferior mirage beyond the horizon. Again, for the cheap seats, there's not just one phenomenon going on. There's multiple phenomena. And don't get snarky and say that I'm making stuff up and calling it sinking. Sinking's a thing. It's just been interpreted in a way that I disagree with. Because Andrew Thomas Young does not address the proximate distance of the water up to the horizon. He only deals with what's beyond. And he says that sinking is the lowering of an object behind the horizon. Now, for him, the horizon is a geometric location because it is the curvature of the Earth. Yeah, you're not going to find this stuff that I'm suggesting in a book because no one, to my knowledge, has suggested this. And don't get snarky and say that I don't have an explanation just simply because I can't get farther than saying the mechanism is the medium, right? Because I'm well aware that if you want me to science this, I'm going to need a team of scientists with me. And I don't have that kind of resources. I don't have that kind of time. So unless you want to start a GoFundMe so that I can give you all of your wildest dreams, and I believe that I can, why don't you start that GoFundMe? You don't have to contribute to it at all. Just start it up and we'll see what happens.
Okay, thank you very much. That is time. I'm going to ask both of you to refrain from calling each other names. I know hostilities. When you get passionate about something, it's easy to attack your opposition. I would ask you both, please try not to do that. So, Catz, if you want to start your 3 minutes, then.
Yeah. So essentially, I know you said that you don't like being told that you're making things up. But if you can't explain what you're saying, then you are making it up. You know, if you're just going to say refraction causes images like this, but that's all you can say, refraction, and you actually can't go any further, then you've just made it up. You've got no reason for saying it's refraction. You're just saying it's refraction. You are making that up. You know, by definition, right? You are just making it up because you can't go any further. Now, I'm not surprised, I'll be honest, that you didn't want to talk about seismic waves because they do destroy the flat Earth altogether. You know, it's impossible for the Earth to be flat if you have any understanding of seismic waves. And I think that ultimately the fact that you said you didn't know anything about it is, to me, is typical of a flat earther's attitude, and I don't mean this in an insulting way at all, but it's typical of flat earthers' attitude in they don't go looking for things, they don't go looking to, you know, to tackle the difficult things and improve their understanding, but if they did, they would understand that seismic waves are totally impossible on a flat earth. Now, let's move on then to something else that is also totally impossible on a flat earth. This is the GRACE satellite, and it measures the gravitational changes on the surface of the Earth, because not like a lot of people think, unlike what a lot of people think, the gravitational acceleration on the surface of the Earth isn't the same in all places.
Do we have a number for that?
Oh, sorry, and this the slide I'm showing now, it was slide 53 is what I'm on. So it is a little bit different in all the places, and that has different effects. Now, how is that used in the real world? Well, I'll tell you how it's used in the real world. If we go on to the next one, they got this one from PhD Tony. He uses it in the real world as a geophysicist when he's looking at the depth and the magnitude of the ice sheets in the Arctic. And when he goes to those locations, he sees exactly what those satellites have predicted. Now, this leaves you with two options. The satellites are real and are giving him real data, or some flat earther somewhere has been to the Arctic, taken all these measurements, and then sent it to Tony in a way that he thinks he's receiving it from a satellite. I'll let you decide. The GRACE satellites also are used because of the ability to measure gravitational strength. They're used to look at groundwater. And there is paper after paper after paper here of geologists using the data from the GRACE satellite. Is that time or 30 seconds?
That's 30 seconds.
30 seconds of actually using the data from the GRACE satellites to go to locations where they know in drought to investigate the groundwater levels. For example, after the Texas drought, which one was that? It was this one here. And again, the data they see when they get there is exactly the data that the satellite said. So either the satellites are real and the Earth is round, or a flat earther has gone and surveyed all the groundwater and then sent that information to the geologist in a way that makes them think they've got it from a satellite. I wonder what your thoughts are.
Thank you very much, Catz. Back to you, Travis.
Okay. Hold on real quick. I thought that. Give me a second. Here we go. And I have to share my screen. Give me a second.
Yeah, it'll start when you're ready. Your time will start when you're ready.
Okay. All right. So this is the page that I was looking for earlier with looming and stooping, sinking. Okay. Again, these are not terms that have been made up. Okay. I haven't made anything up. I haven't made up refraction. I haven't made up inferior mirage. I haven't made up superior mirage. Again, I'm not going to touch the satellites. I'm not going to touch the seismic activity, okay? It's not a fair judgment or assessment, in my opinion, to say that I have to familiarize myself with every argument that's out there, okay? Because the argument that solidifies this for me is that the Earth presents itself as stationary and not curving, okay? So it doesn't matter then what you say happens on seismic activity, because if the Earth cannot be demonstrated to be measurably curved, and if water finds its level so that each shore point, no matter how large the body of water is horizontal from the other one, then again, that's demonstration and evidence that the Earth is not a globe. So then, guess what? That means that your seismic activity can happen on a globe. I mean, on a flat Earth, okay? Now, going back to this again, trying to critique me because I cannot, in your satisfaction, answer your question about the mechanism. I don't believe any of the explanations for looming, towering, stooping, and sinking actually address the issue at all. Because if you think about it, when you read this stuff and when you look up the citations or the bibliography that he has, these are guys hundreds of years ago that are sitting and making observations just like me, and they are describing it just like me. The only thing is that they are interpreting it differently. Now, simply because you can draw a diagram like this and tell me that this is what the rays are doing, this is what the light is doing. No. Sorry, you can't show me this in real life. Okay? I find it very interesting and frustrating that Andrew Thomas Young has to draw me a diagram. Why not show me what this looks like in real life? Can't you do that? Okay? Here's looming and sinking. Now, looming is the lifting up, is the raising up of an object behind the horizon. Again, for what I said before, this horizon here with looming is the same as this horizon here for sinking, because in Andrew Thomas Young's world, this is a geometrical distance to the horizon. It is always the same. I'm here to tell you that horizon does not just change vertically by raising up and dropping down. It also gets closer to you and farther away. If you want me to science it more than that, start a GoFundMe and let me know when I'm ready to go.
Okay, thank you for that, Travis. Right, what we're going to do, we're going to have another 10 minutes of back and forth. And again, I'm asking people to try and be respectful, both in the chat and on the stream. And then we're going to go to questions. If anyone has their questions ready, please go to the community tab. We are coming to them in a few minutes. And again, please be respectful or it will not be read out. Thank you very much. And Catz, your time will start when you're ready.
Right, I think you've hit the nail on the head. You said to me, if I wanted to science it, start a GoFundMe. And that's what the rest of us are thinking, Travis. When are you going to start applying science? You're just saying the word refraction and saying it over and over and over again, and you've not given us any explanation whatsoever. Nothing of any substance at all. And that's your area of expertise. Your area of expertise you can't explain. And then all the other areas, such as the satellites and the seismic waves that you don't want to touch, you are being willfully ignorant about. If we are talking about the shape of the planet, you are not going to prove it by taking pictures of mirages and then just shouting refraction after you've done it. Okay, you've got no explanation, you're making it up. So I'm going to go on to something else, maybe that might help you a little bit. In you know, expanding maybe your horizons. This guy is called, I can't pronounce that right, but Iotvoss, I know everyone in the chat knows I pronounced that wrong. He was doing an experiment on a boat as he was going around the ocean. It was similar to the Cavendish experiment-ish, using the torsion bar. And he found that when the boat was moving, he got different results from when the boat was stopped still. And he come to the idea that it was because the Earth was rotating. Bear with me, because he makes a good prediction after this. If the Earth rotates, it tries to throw things off it, but gravity also pulls things in. And when we move to the west, right, because the Earth spins west to east, when we travel west, we are effectively being thrown off less hard, because the Earth is going west to east, and we are effectively, when we travel west, traveling east in a slower speed. That's what he thought. So we get this kind of movement here, that when we travel west, you know, we're being thrown off less hard, and therefore we should weigh more. But if we travel east with the Earth spinning east, right, then we're actually moving faster, and that centrifugal force, that's, if you like, that's trying to throw us off, right, that's trying to spin that water off the ball, if you like, because the linear speed is faster when we travel east, we're going to weigh less. Now, he made a prediction because of that, and that prediction became known as the Iotvoss effect. But funnily enough,
Catz, can we have the slide number?
Yeah, so the slide number we're going to be on, the only important one really, is 64. So the prediction is the important thing. A prediction made by the globe Earth model. And that is, if we fly west, we weigh less than when we fly, we weigh more than when we fly east. And that is exactly what we see. And I'll tell you what, if we move on to the next slide, right, we can see how geodesic scientists have to account for this. And the next slide after that, we have a paper here where we look at people having to write scientific papers to correct their equipment for this Iotvoss effect, where things weigh different when we're going west than they do east. That is a prediction made by the Globe Earth model. I just wonder if you can comment on it, or if you can give me a prediction made by the Flat Earth model, or whether you'll ignore it and just show me some more pictures of refraction. I'll leave that up to you.
Thank you very much, Catz. Now, Plane Truth is going to come back in on that, and then we will have one more of 3 minutes each before getting to your questions and super chats. Super chats will be read out first, and then we will go to the community tab. So if you want to ask a question, now is your time, because after that we will be closing it off, and we'll come back in with the speakers after the community chats have been spoken about. So, Travis, over to you.
Okay. Again, this is not a matter of making anything up. Okay. It is a matter of understanding how refraction can create a limit to what we see and can change what we see. Now, again, let's see, just the question, go back to what Catz said. I'm just going to bring this up. Okay, this is another image, same spot. I set up in the same location. When I shoot back in this, you can see the houses here, the condos here are the same. You have the lighthouse here. All right. Now, if I were to ask anyone, I would think that they would say the reason why we can't see any water at this point is because the water is curving away. This is curvature. You would then have to say that every single time you see a limit to the water. It is always curvature in the globe model. Okay, I am suggesting, now I don't really care if you're not happy with the fact that I don't meet your standard of what you think science is, okay? This is refraction going on. There is an inferior mirage beyond the horizon, the apparent horizon here. There is an inferior mirage beyond the apparent horizon here. This horizon is created by refraction. The refraction is lifting this up, okay? Now, again, simply because in Andrew Thomas Young's world, he does not describe it that way, doesn't mean that it's not an actual phenomenon. It just simply means he's not asking the questions I'm asking. Now, I went into this whole discussion with my camera not knowing what to expect. I was a newbie. I was a novice at taking these photographs, and I had to say, now, hang about. What does this mean? What am I looking at? How am I supposed to understand this? I can't see the shoreline. I can't see the cannon. I know there's a cannon here. Why do I see the cannon now over here, right? And I know that Conspiracy Catz says, oh yeah, I say that I agree with you that that refraction blocks or mirages block things behind it. Okay, that's great. Now, what I'm asking you to do, which it seems like you're not willing to do because you have a block, because you have a certain amount of requirements that you think that you have to hold me to, is I'm simply asking you to understand that that is what's happening at greater distances over aquatic observations. If you have an inferior mirage 20 miles away, that mirage is blocking a certain amount of distance that you can't see, but it's still there. And what is happening from your perspective all the way to the horizon is refraction as well. And that is changing the location of and the distance to the horizon. So that if you look to your left at a boat on the horizon, and then you look 90 degrees in front of you, and then you look to your right 45 degrees, and you have boats on the horizon in every single one of those points, I'm going to bet you, I'm going to make a prediction. Each of those boats is a different distance, even though they look like they're at the same horizon. Now,
Okay, time. Sorry, that's time. I'm going to pass it back to Conspiracy Catz, and this is the last chance you're going to get before we bring in the super chats and the tabs, the community tabs. I would ask, because it's being asked in the chat, that as the speaker is speaking, you respond exactly to that point. So Travis, the next time you get to speak, please answer what Catz is asking. And Catz, when you're speaking, please remember to give us the number of your slide. Thank you very much. And you're muted.
Back to slide 22. So I think this is really going to be a sum up. Travis, wants to say that I'm holding him to sort of like a false standard of science. To be honest, I'm trying to hold you to any sort of standard of science because you haven't given us any at all. You've got to remember that we have, this has been studied for hundreds and hundreds of years to levels that you don't understand. We could talk about using refraction and interferometers to measure temperature, in the urn next to the candle, for example, in what I showed you earlier on. And you wouldn't know what we were talking about, okay? All you have done, and I'm saying this, I'm being cruel to be kind, okay? You have zero understanding, and we've all seen that today, of any science whatsoever. You have zero understanding of refraction. You have zero understanding of explaining how refraction causes the images you're showing. You have a belief, and that belief is founded in a denial of the Earth being a globe. Now, when you can look at other things that might help you out with that, for example, seismic wave propagation, astronomy, data we get from satellites, you've clearly done nothing and are not willing to learn or even take on board what has been given to you and analyze it, okay? You are blinkered and willfully ignorant, and I don't mean this to be cruel, but that is the position you are in. Okay, we could talk to you about astronomy. We could talk to you about how we use the angles of Polaris, or how we can predict which stars will be circumpolar or not. We can talk to you about the northern and southern lights and how accurately we can predict eclipses, etc. We could talk to you about the grey satellite and the data we get from satellites. We could talk to you, PhD Tony could come on and tell you about all his work, and I've done a live stream with him that prove and rely and make predictions on the Earth being a globe. But you don't want to know. You're in a position where you want to take photographs that show some refraction and then just claim with no explanation whatsoever that that is the reason we have a horizon. And you've shown literally nothing on that. So I have learnt nothing from you today at all, other than you can take pictures and spot when there's a little bit of a mirage. And I truly hope that you go away after this and you realise when you watch it back how poorly you've performed and how poorly you've come across. And I do hope that it sparks you into maybe branching out your horizons a little bit and maybe realising all this time that you have been spectacularly wrong, and I mean that in the best possible way, with your best interests at heart. It's not meant to be an insult. That's me done.
Thank you very much. Give me one sec there. Right. Travis, this is your last chance to get your point across before we bring in the super chats and the community questions. And then again, I will give you a chance to come back in at the end to kind of sum up your opinion on the debate. So, your turn.
Yeah, I find it interesting that I was corrected in a general way when I called Conspiracy Catz snarky, but he is allowed without abandon or with abandon. He is allowed with abandon to poison the well of the audience by telling them his opinion of me, right? That I'm unlearned, that I don't know what I'm talking about, that I'm not willing to learn. So he hasn't been corrected. That's no different than my calling him snarky, okay? It's just simply a different criticism. And don't fall prey to his charm when he tries to give me a backhanded, no, it's not a compliment. No, it wasn't a compliment. It wasn't constructive criticism. No, you're trying to put me down. Even though you say you're not, you are, and you know it. So on to this now. Again, I have done the research. Simply because I haven't memorized anything to give you all of the explanations. Again, I'm pointing out I disagree with this, okay? This is his idea. This is an idea. It's an idea. Show me this in real life. Show me where this is happening. You can't. He can't. Okay? This is all based upon the idea that there is curvature. Now, I'm saying that if we were to look at this from a different perspective, if this is to be looked at in another way, we would consider the fact that if we are seeing something, it's because it is in front of us. It's right there in front of us. This is, in his world, towering, which means it is actually below the horizon. We shouldn't be able to see it. Why do we see it? Refraction. That's the answer. His answer is the same as mine. It's refraction. It's a mirage, blah, blah, blah. Simply because he can draw a diagram and tell you that he thinks this is going on, you just salivate and drool like he's Mr. PhD. Okay, no, sorry. Okay, again, this is the Anacapa Islands. Here's the lighthouse 20 miles away. We have an inferior mirage. We do not know the distance to this apparent horizon. But you see this right here, over here? If you were to just see, if this boat weren't here and you were to just simply see the apparent sky touching the apparent water, you would think that that is where the horizon is. Did you cut me off?
No, you still have 20 seconds.
No, because my screen stopped. It went black. So can I have 30 seconds?
You can.
Okay, thank you. If I can get back to, you know what happened? My image crashed. Okay, but we'll just do this right here. Okay. What the heck? Everything's crashing. It's all going to hell. I'm going to try one more time. Okay. There's not just one phenomenon. There is proximate looming. The refraction is raising this distance up, creating a false horizon. This is not, you don't know where this horizon is. If I showed you this picture without any context and asked you why we can't see this, you would say, that's curvature, bro. And I say, oh yeah, but what about this picture that I took the very next day and you can see the entire oil platform? Where'd the curvature go? Okay, this is refraction. Just simply because I'm using simple terms, it's refraction, that's it. Well, what's the mechanism? The medium, the air that you're looking through. Yeah, but what's the temperature gradient? What's the lapse rate? If you want me to bust my hump on that, that's going to cost, because I can't get out here and also make the shots on the shoreline. Okay, this is a very tedious, meticulous venture. Okay, so don't cast aspersions, Catz. Knock it off.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to thank both speakers for not descending into a dumpster fire, because that's one of the things that we want to avoid with this. We give you a chance to have your voice heard, and thank you both for doing so. So we're going to now go to the chat. So I have no ability to get into the super chats, so that's going to fall on Catz to do. I am going to unmute both of you. I would ask you to keep it civil, because you have both done yourselves fantastically today. You haven't descended into aggression, not too much anyway. And we'll keep it respectful and just answer people's questions. So, Catz, do you want to start reading off super chats?
Yeah, I think I mean, most of the questions will probably be for Travis, but no, I want to echo what you said, and I hope I know Travis is simulcasting this, but just while I'm finding these questions, I hope people realise that there aren't many channels that will guarantee exactly equal speaking time to both parties. We're not Nathan Oakley's show where it descends into screaming and shouting. So if there is anybody that wants to have a discussion, hopefully you've seen you will get exactly equal time. And we do it as fair as we can. Right, so let's have a look. Christopher Hugan says, let's hear it for the ice wall because it doesn't get love. So it's not a question, but let's hear it for the ice wall. But then he does have a question, but this one's for me. Why doesn't the debunking community build a pressure container with walls of ice and some clear material on top to show that it will not hold pressure? You know what? There's so many things. I mean, like, for example, Mr. Sensible put money into sending the balloon up into space, or to the edge of space anyway, or however high it's going. And I bet if that comes down and there's been curvature shown in that, there'll still be flat earthers who are saying it's a con, it's a lie, it's all fake, etc. So I think sometimes you can go too far to please the willfully ignorant. That would be my answer to that. I'm sure there'll be some questions for you pretty soon. I just need to refresh the page, Travis, and I'm sure most are going to be for you. Sorry about this.
The comments, any comments made about the debate we can do at the end, but any questions we're going to do now.
Okay. So just find questions at the minute. Okay, so if you sent a super chat and it's not a specific question, I will do that at the end. But for now, Travis, this is from Blue Marble Science. Okay, it's for you, yeah? Can you explain why you think centripetal force isn't a real force?
Yeah, because you cannot demonstrate the mechanism.
Because you can't describe the mechanism?
No, I did not say describe. I said you cannot
demonstrate, was it?
Demonstrate. Thank you.
Could you go into a little bit more detail in that? Would you mind?
Sure. Centripetal force is a force that we all know exists, because when we take sharp turns or even easy turns in a car or on a merry-go-round, we feel the outward push from the center. That's something that we can't experience. So nothing, though, in that same event, in that same experience, nothing is pulling me toward the center of that motion. So there's no reason to even suggest that there is such a thing as centripetal force. So unless you have an observation that you can point to and say this is demonstrating centripetal force and this is why we say it exists, then you have nothing to base that on.
Catz, I will give you 1 minute to respond.
Okay, so, I mean, let's just take a hammer thrower for a start. A hammer thrower is waving a hammer, like in the Olympics, around his head. And the tension in the string or the wire in the hammer, stopping the hammer from flying off, is what is providing the centripetal force. When we have something in circular motion like that, the centripetal and the centrifugal are balanced. Now, we can apply that technology, though. When we look at, for example, cyclists going around the track, the reason that the tracks are banked is because the faster you go, your centrifugal force, if you like, is mv squared over r. So the faster you go, the bigger your velocity, the bigger that centrifugal force. And we have to calculate how to bank the sides of the track to look at basically countering. It's to do with, I can't explain all the vectors in about a minute, but that's how we calculate the banking of the track based on the centripetal force that the friction of the tires is going to provide. So it's very real, and we use it all the time.
Thank you, Catz. And just to explain, I am actually, as someone is answering a question, I am seeing how long they're taking, and I'm giving the opposite side the same amount of time. So can we get the next question there? Or is there another one for Super Chats?
There's another one for Travis, yeah. From Tommy Grombold. He says, there are lots of photos without distortions on there. Why aren't you focusing on them? Distortions don't prove anything. Clear photos without distortions do. So I think he's basically asking, you know, why are you concentrating more on photographs with the distortion? Why not the ones with the clear defined horizons?
Okay, Travis, would you like to take that?
Sure. So I think that there is a reference to images where you have ships that are, let me go over here real quick just to share my screen. So I think I pulled this up. Where you have a ship that is cut in half by the horizon. And I'm going to try to pull this up real quick and show you something comparable. So distortion, right? Like, how much distortion are we talking about? Because this image right here has distortion to it. This platform has distortion. We have a horizon here, and we have a container ship here. There's distortion happening here. So you're not ever going to not have distortion. You can actually see a little crest of a wave right here. So there's a lot of things that affect what's happening. Now, this is an example of sinking in Andrew Thomas Young's world, okay? This is an example in my world of what I call proximate looming. Proximate looming is the raising up of the horizon, and then it also is engaged in refraction that's happening beyond the horizon. So just to answer shortly, distortion, what do you mean by that? Because I have a ship here that's cut in half. There is no mirage here that we can see, but this is still 100% created by refraction, because you don't know where this horizon is.
Brilliant. Catz, you have a minute and a half if you want to respond to that.
Yeah, I think that's just hit the nail on the head for the entire debate. When you see something that doesn't have an obvious mirage, then you just claim refraction is the cause without any explanation, know-how, or evidence or mechanism. It's just saying the word refraction. So I think that's what Tommy was after there. If there's not obvious mirage, you just say refraction, and it's like a programmed response for you just to say refraction. So it doesn't mean anything without an explanation, and it can be totally dismissed.
Great. Have we got any more super chat questions?
I will just refresh the page. I don't think we've got questions, but obviously I will be reading out those that weren't questions.
Yeah, the comments
later on.
read out later. Yeah.
But I know you've got some questions from the thing as well, haven't you?
And I'm going to try get through these quickly because we're kind of running out of time. Let me see. Right. Terry Davies wants some photography tips. He says, "How do you get those types of images through your camera? I thought the images would be clearer." I think that's to Travis. What kind of camera do you use, actually?
It's the Nikon P900. Yeah. I mean, I really don't understand the snarky comments, because it's not the result of not focusing. It is taking an image. It is taking a picture of an effect. It is refraction. I can show you, and I've done it on my shows, I can show you absolutely beautiful, pristine images of the same pictures that I take here on the Chesapeake Bay, and I have a shore-to-shore observation, and it's a beautiful, crystal clear shot. But that's not the shot that displays the obstruction that gets interpreted as curvature. Again, for the cheap seats, I'm not saying all of a sudden refraction's a thing. I've discovered refraction. I've discovered inferior mirages. No, I am telling you that it is the inferior mirage, superior mirage, or it is looming, stooping, sinking, towering. It is a refractive phenomenon that is creating horizon, and if it's a mirage, it is what is blocking farther distance that you can't see, which if it were not there, you'd be able to see it. That's what's not being addressed appropriately. And again, Catz, that's as simple as it gets. If you need more explanation than that, then maybe you should.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to try and keep to 30 seconds to a minute, because there are a good few questions, and this is going to be an easy one. I will let you both come in at the end to respond to everything that's been said at the questions section. Peter Quinn asks, is that a lockdown tash, Catz?
No, actually, it is for my next video. So that's all I can say. And it's not even going to be a funny joke, but.
Oh, Jesus. Right, I'm going to try and weed out the ones that are not completely respectful. Stringer News, as to the claim that refraction creates an obstruction implies that light, not matter, creates matter. How does that work? As to the claim that refraction makes things invisible, how does that work? Exactly how can matter become truly invisible? That was a quote from you, the first line, the first question, and then it's, so how can any matter become truly invisible? That's to Travis.
What? I'm sorry. I tuned out because it wasn't my topic. So do you understand what he's asking?
Well, he's saying that you have a quote there. He's quoted you as saying, as to the claim that refraction creates an obstruction, that implies light, not matter, creates matter. How does it work? And then he goes on to then ask the question, as to the claim that refraction makes things invisible, how does that work? How can matter become truly invisible? And I don't think anyone here actually claimed that.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, right.
Do you want me to move on, or?
No, I'll just say real quick. Again, the mirage, the refraction that happens, whether or not you want to consider it to be internal refraction that's happening, something that's going on. Like, again, nobody has gone out into the observation, as far as I've seen, and as far as I've researched. Everybody is making these observations from the distance, and they're telling you what they think is going on inside. And it doesn't matter if you can show me what a laser does through a glass medium. I'm not looking through glass, and it's not late. I'm looking at daylight. Okay, so the burden falls on you to prove that those two things are remotely the same. So it doesn't matter what you can show on a small scale like that in your classroom with an interferometer. Okay. Have you taken that interferometer out 20 miles and measured stuff out there? No, you haven't.
Okay. I'll let Catz come in on everything you say, and I'll let you come in on everything Catz say at the end. Christian Hoage asks, the plain truth, what measurements do you have that proves water is flat?
Yeah, again, I don't believe that we can ever say that water is truly not in motion, right? With wind or whatever it is that's happening that's undulating the surface. So the idea of water being flat is a relative way to speak about it. So I've clarified, and others have as well, that what we mean is that if you measure from shore to shore at any point, like say, for instance, Lake Tahoe, if you go up to Lake Tahoe and you're standing on the shoreline with your toes tickling the water, and then you go 22 miles across to the other side and put your toes tickling in the water, you're horizontal. I don't need to measure anything because we know that's what water does. It's a lake. It's not angled. It's not flowing. It's not a river. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, I know, I love the passion. It's fantastic, but we are running out of time. So, question for both, and I will give you a minute each to answer it. Is Travis's failure to provide an explanation in itself an example of refraction? So I'm going to go to Catz first, and then I'll give Travis a chance.
Is it an example of refraction, do you say?
Yeah, is Travis's failure to provide an explanation in itself an example of refraction?
I don't know I fully get that. But yeah, why not? I think but I think the failure to provide an explanation is. I think we all know what we've seen. I'll just pass it back to Travis. I think we all know what's happened today, and I'll not over egg it.
Yeah, the simplicity of the matter is I have explained it. I have explained, based on Conspiracy Catz's concession and agreement, that a mirage can block things, right? We understand. We both agree on that. I don't have to explain any more than that.
Well,
hold on. So that when we're talking about making an observation at a greater distance, all I'm saying is you have to take that understanding into that distance as well. I have explained what I mean by what I say. If you want me to get more technical, then start a GoFundMe, and I would be happy to walk away from my job and spend the rest of my life studying this, because the guys that have studied this, Andrew Thomas Young, he's getting paid to study it. These guys that were studying it 200 years ago, they were either silver spoons or they were getting funded by someone.
Thank you very much. Just to ease the tension a little bit, Still Monkeys has another question for Travis. Why does it always rain on me? Is it because I lied when I was 17? Still Monkeys, that's the wrong Travis. Jesus. That's where we're at. There's a question from Transfalmadorian. Explain how sextants work on a flat Earth. Again, I think that's the Travis.
Yeah, since I've never used a sextant, I'm not going to be able to break down the mechanics of it, but it works the way it works. Okay, so the observations that we have that you might want to, if you're on a boat and you think the world is round, and I'm on a boat and I think that the Earth is flat, we're both going to use the sextant the same way. It's both going to show us exactly the same thing, and we're both going to be able to get exactly to our location if we are sailing by the stars. So it's angles and distance, right? Angles and distance. Those things are geometrical. Those things are straight horizontal lines.
Okay, we have a question from John Rapp, and please give John Rapp the traditional John Rapp welcome. Question for both. A simple observation without refraction of any note. Two people, one well north, one well south of the equator. On the same longitude, will see the same face and phase of the moon at the same time. How can that work with the moon circling above a flat Earth? So I'm going to ask Travis to come on in that. You have 30 seconds, or well, we'll give you a minute, and then we'll go to Catz, and then I'm closing it, and we're going to sum up.
Sure. So most of us have a limited ability to investigate anything, right? So if I'm in my location here at the Chesapeake Bay and someone says something about Louisiana, I've made this observation that, well, I don't know anything about that. So you can tell me what happens down at the equator on the same longitude or whatever. But all I can do is investigate my local proximity. And if I see the moon this way, oh, that's the way I see the moon. If you want me to travel 1,000 miles south, east, or west and change my location, and I see the moon in the same way, then I'm just going to think, I'm seeing the moon the same way. I don't know what's going on up there. No one knows what's going on up there. I'm not going to make any declarations about that observation except to say if something's different or the same. That's all I can do.
Thank you. Catz.
Yeah, well, I mean, it can't work on a flat Earth, can it? Neither can the sextant. I'll just chip on that in my 30 seconds that I've got. That a sextant, if you understand geometry, and this is the thing, if you actually understand geometry past just knowing that it's got to do with shapes and angles, then a sextant, an equatorial mount, angles to Polaris, all again prove without a shadow of a doubt that the Earth cannot be flat. And this is what I was trying to mention before. If you just branch out a little bit and try and understand it, then, if you want to debunk it from that point, fine. Okay? But it just seems that there's no interest to learn. It's a willful ignorance. And it can't work. Sextants can't work on a flat Earth. It is as simple as that. Go and learn about it.
Okay, Christ. Right, before I bring the speakers back in, just some more housekeeping. Thank you to both speakers for keeping on time and stopping when I've asked, and complying with the rules that I set down. Well, that was set down before the debate. Thank you to everyone for coming along. Thank you to Catz and Creaky for running this channel, because I absolutely love it. If you want to become a member, there is memberships available beside the subscribe button. So please do subscribe, like this stream, and if you want, one of the moderators will put a link to both Plane Truth and Conspiracy Catz in the chat now in like 2 minutes, because I know they will. Go check them out, and just keep up to date with us, because there's more debates like this coming. It's going to be fun. So I'm going to ask, before we do the rest of the super chats, I will give the Plain Truth 4 minutes. I will give Conspiracy Catz 4 minutes, and then he will end by reading out the rest of the super chats. So thank you all for coming along. I've been Crafty Keela. I will be around. You'll see me around, and I love you guys. And over to you, Travis.
I'm sorry, I was responding on my chat. What am I supposed to do right now?
Just a sum up of the debate, of your points, of what you wanted to get across.
Okay.
To people.
All right, thank you. I mean, it really, it's singing the same song over and over again. In as much as I have been labeled as someone who's not willing to learn, I could easily throw that back at Conspiracy Catz. Easily. He does not want to learn. He does not want to understand. He just simply says, you're not explaining it. You're not explaining it. Okay? So the explanation, again, who says that you set the standard for how I'm supposed to explain something? Because I've explained this to strangers, and they say, that's really interesting. And they understand what I said. Now, they didn't become flat earthers right then, but they understood what I was explaining. And I asked them, do you understand what I mean? Oh yeah, I totally get what you're saying. That's really interesting. Okay, so it's not a difficult concept. It's not whatsoever. The fact that I'm getting so much pushback just shows me that there is no interest on your side to look at my suggestion from my perspective and try to understand it. It is very easy to understand that refraction, whether it is a mirage or whether it is towering, stooping, sinking, or looming, those are refractive phenomenon that create the observation that we make over distance, either aquatic or terrestrial. And my alternative explanation to the interpretation that boats, lighthouses, islands, oil platforms, wind turbines, container ships out in the distance are blocked by the curvature of the earth. The alternative explanation for that is always, ever, and only due to the possibility that refraction is the cause of the effect. And that is due to the medium through which we are looking, and that medium is the aether band. Everybody drink.
Well, thank you very much. And again, thank you for coming on. I know it's always problematic when you come on to a channel not knowing how you're going to be received, or believing you're going to be received in a negative light. So thank you very much, Travis, for coming on. Again, the Plain Truth has been shared in the chat if you want to go check them out. So I will send it over to Catz, and we will do his sum up of the debate and, of course, the rest of the super chats.
Yeah, I mean, the comment that it's me that doesn't want to learn is absolutely hilarious. You know, we've talked about seismic waves, talked about the grey satellite, we've talked about the Opvos effect, we've talked about sextants, none of which Travis self-admittedly has a clue or interest in. I'm not interested in talking about satellites. I'm not interested in seismic waves, with his exact words. You know, I don't care how a sextant works, again, with his exact words. And if you understand, I mean, again, going back to a sextant, simple geometry, impossible on a flat earth. Impossible. End of. Okay? If you took steps to learn yourself, you would see what the problems were. But the fact that you don't take steps to learn is why you don't see the problems. You don't see the significance of things like the angles to Polaris, or the significance of the star trails or the significance of seismic waves because you're just not bothered. You don't see the significance of astronomical observations because you're just not bothered. You don't want to learn them, and then it becomes very easy not to find them significant because you don't make any effort to understand them. And it's as simple as that. If you did understand them, you would have severe problems with the arguments you're trying to make, but you just don't understand them. And it is that simple. So, ultimately, what have we had today? We've just had somebody saying refraction and not knowing how to explain it and not knowing anything else. It's just, that's what we've had. It's quite bewildering. We've had you say a few times that you want money or that you would quite happily be paid to go and study this. Well, like I said to you in the last debate, we've had hundreds of years of that. And certainly in the last century, the progress science has made is absolutely incredible. And the conclusion they've drawn is that the Earth isn't flat. So that money has been spent, and it's been spent on people who do know about geometry and trigonometry and how to make proper measurements, and they do understand the significance of observations. So I don't know. I know you have a belief that the Earth is flat, and you have a belief that then you have to come up with something to pretend there's no horizon, and so you're just assuming that refraction could be that, and you're saying the word refraction. That's all I've got. But I do hope you go away. I do hope you learn a bit of geometry. I do hope you learn a bit of trigonometry. I do hope you learn about sextants and Polaris and how we calculate which stars are circumpolar, etc. And then I hope you sit down and think, God, you know what? How do they actually work on a flat Earth? And you realise that they don't at all whatsoever. And that's it. So I will go on to those super chat super chat points now that I didn't get to before. I'll just refresh the page in case I've missed any. Right, Tommy Grunwald says phenomenons make distortions, but slide 22 had none. Excellent point. Brainless Steel says, all hail Queen Mod, great job Crafty. I agree with that. Well done Crafty, you did a great job today.
Thank you.
And I have enjoyed it. It's been much more civil than last time, so well done Travis as well. Stringer News said, this is it says to Travis, you made the claims that refraction make obstruction and invisibility. It's your claim, therefore your burden of proof. Stringer News also says, unfortunately Travis, Catz doesn't need to prove your prop to you. That's not how the burden of proof works. Penguin95 says superb moderating by Crafty Keeler despite the snarkiness. Back to slide 22. Blue Marble Science, we've done that question. Stringer News 1 says the ether dog ate my homework. Young Travis. Tommy Grunwald says there are lots of photographs. I think we've done that one, but I'll just, in case I didn't. There are lots of photographs without distortions on there, so we need to focus on them. Distortions don't prove anything, clear photographs do. Keith Milner says he's dismissing maths because he knows it destroys his argument. Daybreaker Flint says, Catz, add page numbers to your slides. There is a built-in function in every major presenter program. I'll have to look into that.
There is.
Thanks. Yeah, I should have done that. Flurfinator 666. Why is the Plane Truth being so condescending in his presentation? He's talking like a spoiled brat who isn't getting away. Isn't getting his way. And that's it. We are done. We are caught up. I think I read Christopher Hugan. No, did I? Christopher Hugan said, let's hit it for the ice wall because it doesn't get love. Did he? And then, yes, I did read his questions out. So I'll just refresh one more time just to make sure I haven't missed any because I'll be gutted if I have. Let's have a look. Yeah, no. So we are done. We are
right.
Sorted.
So before we finish up, then, Travis, do you want to shill out anything that you're going to be doing in the next little while, or any videos that you have coming up?
I think the only thing that I am working on right now is what I've called 3 o'clock high, where I take on certain channels and address things in them. There was a live stream on Emma UK, and I was on there, and Jam Panda jumped in and interrupted while I was going through my explanation. So I'm doing a response to that. Other than that, I just try to get on whenever I can and continue to put out interesting information and observations.
Well, thank you again for coming, and thank you for being so respectful.
Yeah, thanks for
and
hosting.
continuing without any dumpster fire. I think you did yourself proud there. Catz, do you want to shill out any videos coming up?
I've got a collaboration coming up with Sir Sick hopefully next week, but other than that, I'm not really too sure what I'm doing. I am talking on Wednesday with some guy off Gen Panda's Discord, and I've forgotten his name, on here on Wednesday, so that's the next thing coming up on this channel. But no, I just want to thank Travis for not turning it into a shit. I do hate watching shows where people have got points to make and then people just start getting abusive and screaming over each other and muting the guests and just getting insulting. I don't like seeing that kind of stuff. So I hope at least, Travis, even if you disagree with everything I've said, you appreciate that you've been given exactly, if not more, time than I've had to speak, and you've been given a first shout. I just hope you know that you appreciate that, because that's what we're about here.
Yeah, and I think, Travis had to drop out, but I think that was the main thing that I was trying to achieve. I know there's people in the chat saying, where's the moderator? Where's the moderator? But the point of the matter is he needs to have the time uninterrupted to make his points. And then I obviously trust Catz to then basically take his arguments apart, which he did. Always fun.
It was fun, but I don't know, I think you hit the nail on the head. If you don't give these people time to talk, then you get a reputation for the channel being a negative, toxic place. Nobody wants to come and talk to you because they think as soon as they come in, you're going to get muted and booted and abused. And it doesn't like, for example, like Nathan Oakley's show. Nobody wants to go on Nathan's show, because you know what you're going to get. So hopefully, I don't want flat earthers looking at this channel and seeing it to be like the globe version of Nathan's show. I want people to come on and know that they're going to get a decent time, a decent amount of time to speak. So thanks for doing that, Crafty.
Yeah, I think we'll end it there. Thanks to the Plane Truth. Again, if you want to check out his channel, you can. Agree to disagree. We'll continue on Wednesday. I think. Will we be back on Wednesday?
Yeah, back on Wednesday, and it's me again actually on Wednesday. Like I said, with someone off Gen Panda's channel.
We can't get rid of you. No, we don't want to either. So we will be back on Wednesday. So smash that like button, subscribe, become a member if you so want to. And we will see you on Wednesday. Catz, thank you. Travis, thank you as well. I will see you in the chat for the next one. And by the way, if anyone is hanging around and don't know what to do tonight, Creaky Blinder is going live at 7:30. There's the poker stream always. I'll be on that later on the EIE network. And there's a few other things that's coming up for my channel, so look out.
Yeah, I'm going to say shield that out. You've not shielded yourself out much now, but
yeah, I mean, well, I don't really need shilling out, but well, I do, but let's face it. Yeah, no, I've been going through a move. I'm now in Dublin, so I have more time, I have more energy. So there will be a resumption to the Challenging Conspiracies, and the next one will have Professor Phil Bell coming in to talk about flat Earth models or lack thereof. And then I have PhD Tony coming in to talk about the next one to talk about pseudoscience and what pseudoscience actually means. So keep an eye on my channel. It's going to be fun. I love you guys. Catz, take us out.
Right. See you later. See if I can end the stream properly this time. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, people.